God gives wisdom through tribulation and suffering. I'm smarter because of jail.
Well, of all the idiotic ways to kick off a Sursic video, that is certainly one of them. You would think that God would have just made you not the kind of person who gets thrown in prison all the time. If he wanted you to be smart, perhaps teaching you to read instead of not doing that. In fact, I would bet that the vast majority of actually intelligent people have never been to jail. Not that only idiots ever go to jail, but it's not exactly the ideal outcome if you were as clever as you think you are. I feel you might have avoided it altogether. Frankly, it all sounds like cope to me, mate.
He wanted to teach me something.
But question, did you not ask for this life first?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, not sure who this other guy is, but yeah, okay. He wanted to teach you to maybe
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
that way, next time, you don't even need to go to jail at all. I know it's a wild concept. And seriously, before anyone starts, no one is spending time and resources to arrest this man as some kind of punishment for being too awesome. He's just an idiot who can't stop doing insanely sketchy bullshit. You might have thought if he was capable of learning anything, it would be to not that.
So what came first? Was it the fact that you thirsted for a higher life, or was it that God threw you into that? Because for me, if you asked me to be a trainer, hey, I need you to train me, I'm going to put you through your test.
Dipshit, if someone asks you to train them, you should train them. Tests come after training because they're tests of what you've learned. If you haven't learned anything at all, a test is just an opportunity to find out you don't know anything about the thing, which you already knew because you asked someone to train you on it.
Oh, absolutely.
So you asked God for that.
Oh,
he
completely.
didn't just put you in that circumstance.
And that's one of the things that's very interesting.
Oh, you asked God to put you in jail, did you? Of course you did. Who doesn't want to be put through one of the most dehumanizing experiences available in most countries today? Well, I say one of the most dehumanizing thing is being friends with Andy. I mean, talk about a test. Putting up with this man's bullshit without immediately peeling off your own face would be quite the achievement.
You have people who will sit at home and pray for an exceptional life. They'll say, I don't want to live a normal life. I want an exceptional life. I want a special life, a different life.
Exceptional in what regard? Not to do the everyone's a super special, unique snowflake kind of shit, but literally every single person's life is different to one degree or another. It really doesn't take much to do things that nobody, or well, almost nobody, has ever done, since the chance of performing some utterly unique feat is almost zero, at least on your own. And frankly, these days, it feels like the most exceptional thing a person can do is live a happy life with people they love and allow that to be enough, instead of constantly reaching for some absurdly unrealistic dream, like home ownership or a stable career. Sorry, I couldn't help myself to big oof pretty much everybody. Hey man, me included, YouTube is anything but stable. But I do live within my means and am managing to raise a happy and healthy family. So I think I'm doing pretty okay.
And then they'll do exceptional things. They'll fly on a private jet. They'll buy a Bugatti. They'll sit in a $10 million mansion somewhere on the coast.
Wait, that's what you think of as exceptional? When I think of actually exceptional acts, I think of people changing the world, making a huge contribution to science or humanitarian stuff, not basic bitch influencer fakery. And don't get it twisted, all that shit is fake. 99% of the time, someone doing these things, it's because they wasted a bunch of money they don't have to spare in order to trick other people into thinking that they're doing really well, either for ego or because they have some kind of scam going on. And frankly, even if it isn't or wasn't for that, it's still super lame. Seriously, show me someone with a few $1,000 sick-ass workshop setup over a multi-million-dollar pretty much anything, any day of the week. Interesting people don't need infinite money to be interesting. If you do, that is so much sadder than you'll ever know.
And then cry if they end up in jail.
What? Why would they end up in jail? You know that it's possible to create wealth without immediately committing all the crimes, right? Although I know you probably don't know how you could possibly do that, but people do that. They start businesses. They create value in the world and what have you. The fact that in your mind, rich equals jail says so much more about you than any claims that you've ever made about yourself do. And you know what? Whether you got rich because you're a shithead or legitimately, what the hell is wrong with feeling sorry for yourself if you go to prison? Again, it's not a place anybody but the most ludicrous morons actually wants to be in the first place, especially if they didn't have to.
Exceptional doesn't always mean good. Exceptional means deviate from the norm. You begged God for exceptional.
Well, it literally just means an exception, as in things are usually one way, but sometimes they are this other way. But most people, when they want something exceptional, they generally mean the oft-used outstanding or amazing or best kind of definition of the word. But your little bit suggests here that somehow the God-man wouldn't understand that's what they meant. Or perhaps that he's some kind of frigging trickster genie who's giving what you asked for, but not what you actually wanted. Although considering most book those, I wouldn't put it past the guy. Don't forget about Samson, you know, the strong man in the Bible. He actually asked for 1,000,000 doll hairs, and instead, God dropped a building on him.
A Romanian jail cell is a unique experience, just as a Bugatti on a private jet is a unique experience.
I mean, not really. I'm pretty sure most people in jail cells are having a pretty similar experience, give or take. The same way that the kind of asshole who thinks that a Bugatti on an airplane is some transcendental experience is actually an utterly vapid joke of a conscious human, who more than likely looks and acts almost identically to any other chud who thinks that that kind of thing is peak. The irony of the hyper-individualist alpha crowds is that they are all basically the same person. It is hilarious when you think about it.
If you want the experiences, there's no light without dark. You can't have both.
I'm going to ignore the sticking a Bugatti in your dick hole while jerking off a jet plane and just say you absolutely can have good experiences, exceptional ones in fact, without going to frigging jail or even just having pretty negative downsides. And only someone who has no concept of reality, what it is or what it looks like, would think otherwise. People can and do have exceptional lives with little to no downside. And don't get me wrong, problems are generally relative, and I'm sure that they do in fact have shit days. But in the grand scheme of things, you can look at many people who have done amazing things and see nothing even close to incarceration happening to them. And on the flip side, this assumes that people who have had all this kind of shit happen to them, jail, etc., and that they should also get to experience, if not quite your level, that they should have some pretty nice things, and that is rarely the case.
If you're going to pray to God and ask for all these amazing things, you have to understand there's an equal and opposite force, and you will pay the price.
Or you have to understand that God's not real, and you either luck into things or you make them happen, or some combination of the two, and usually just neither. The fact that likely most, if not all, religious people ask God for things means it is statistically guaranteed that some of them will get what they asked for and then chalk it up to God real. While conversely, the people who don't still somehow chalk it up to God real, but with the caveat of he moves in mysterious ways, which always made me think that God is actually a crab. I mean, everything evolves into one eventually, apparently. But yeah, ultimately, it's a case of God helps those who help themselves, which actually means that he doesn't do anything. But if he did, it would explain ever more as to why criminals get an unfair share. And of course, the smart ones don't go to jail for it. Only the stupid ones do. Andrew.
And who else? Okay, here's a beautiful thing. Let me backtrack that one line you just said. You could pray for something, but remember, there's two people on the phone listening to your prayers.
Yeah. I like that.
Holy shit, that is the creepiest smile I think I've ever seen. And two people are on the phone, are they? Well, obviously. The CIE needs to make sure that their best buddy is doing okay, Drew. And all right, I know what you're trying to say. It's that God and Satan are on the line. And while you both seem to think that that's really, really clever, it is actually incredibly stupid. Because if we do run with that, it brings up so many problems that it's not even funny. So not even funny that it swings right back round to hilarious. Like, Forget God's apparent inability to encrypt his network. Absolute rookie mistake. There's the idea that you end up talking to Satan, but then God does nothing. Well, that's helpful. Or maybe you talk to both of them, and then you can't tell them apart. I think that suggests something more sinister than you simply not having an ear for voices. And if Satan's listening in and ends up giving you what you want when God doesn't, how exactly are you supposed to be able to tell the difference? It's not like you're just going to say, thanks, Satan. You're going to say, thank you, God, anyway, and feel even closer to him. There is just no sense that this, makes sense.
And here's the craziest part. You know when who's giving it to you.
Yep. You know,
You
deep
can
in your
feel
heart,
it.
you can feel it.
Oh, of course you can feel it.
That raises even more questions. If you know, then what difference could it possibly make to anyone but the terminally incapable of self-control? And at that point, could it even be considered their fault since God made them in such a way that they are unable to escape Satan's grasp? It's kind of messed up, God. And just because you feel something in your heart doesn't make it correct, even if we aren't going that it's literally just a blood pump. The idea of a metaphorical heart is still not a truth-seeking function. You can feel utter absurdities in your heart. You can want things that in your brain you know are completely shit for you. But your heart will tell you, no, it's really good actually. Maybe if you used whatever atrophied lump is between your ears to make decisions, you wouldn't have so many problems, Tato.
You're lying to me if you say you can't
And
feel
you know
it.
what? Maybe that's where I'm self-reflecting. We're talking about being vulnerable. I'll be vulnerable.
I'll be vulnerable and self-reflect, he says, while dressed in multiple layers of onanist clothing, from the wanker aviators to the toss pottery of a turtleneck, and the constant, what I would call pseudo-intellectual posturing. But I don't think it's fair to pseudo-intellectuals to lump them in with someone who has this little of merit to say.
Well, maybe that's actually where a lot of my motivation comes from, despite the fact I think I'm genuinely putting my life and my livelihood in danger by speaking so much truth against the Matrix is...
Oh, do get over yourself. I mean, seriously. I'm just saying all of these truths and won't stop even though they, whoever the freak they are going to get me. Tate, if anyone is as powerful as you pretend they are, were to want you dead, you would have been buried a long-ass time ago. Let alone the fact that they have literally had you under lock and key. And what's super depressing to me is people buy this shit. As if anything Tate has ever said or done is even remotely novel. Beyond the sheer unadulterated ego of it all. And even then, he's not exactly the world's first public narcissist, but to give him his dues, he might well be the most useless.
If I was getting all of this money and all of this fame and I wasn't talking about God and doing good for the world, I'd be very sure the devil was giving it to me.
First off, what shit-chugging good? Seriously, apart from, the things that got you thrown in prison, what have you ever done, full stop? And second, the very obvious counterpoint, how do you know that the devil isn't giving it to you regardless? Both metaphorically and literally. That's the thing. You look at all these pastors, especially those in the megachurch fame. Well, I gotta believe at least some of them genuinely believe they are where they are because God actually wants them to have disgusting amounts of money while squeezing the life out of their parishioners. And yet, to anyone observing them from the outside, their actions, their activities, their goddamn monster faces, it's pretty obvious that if a being of objective evil exists, he definitely has them on speed dial.
I'd feel it. I'd feel cheap. I'd feel dirty, and I would feel anxious, like...
Oh, if only you were really capable of such depth and emotional range instead of simply parroting words that you've heard other people say when discussing those feelings, things that you've heard so much about, but are seemingly incapable of experiencing for yourself. And you know what? I'm not even sure if I'm joking or not. It is so hard to tell where the act ends and the actual coherent human being begins with this freaking guy, if at all.
Okay, I've got this fame. What am I doing for the world? Okay, I may be entertaining. I may get some views. I may get some clicks. But what am I giving the people who believe in me?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing, and calling you entertaining is a bit of a stretch. After a while, your whole shtick gets pretty played out pretty bloody fast. What you do though, is take. At this point, we really should just start calling you Andrew Tate.
Am I scamming them? Am I hurting them? Are they getting better? What am I doing for the people who know my name? Am I just taking all this shit from the devil and I'm not giving anything back? Am I actually making anyone feel better about themselves?
I would love to believe that this is in any way an earnest piece of genuine self-reflection, but I don't. I can't, because he's been doing this shit for so long. For a person who actually has this capability to be able to keep doing it. No, this is 100% performative. The answer is going to be, no, I'm not the bad guy because I said God helped me. And if God helped me, that means absolutely everything I've ever done is completely justified. And then apologists will wonder why we think they're all so full of shit sometimes.
And then you sit there and realize that, yeah, you are. You're taking it from the devil and you'll pay the price tenfold with your soul. This is why I sit and find the bravery to think,
I'm the world's best person. I'm allowed to cheat, steal, and lie to people who look up to me because, again, God told me to my stupid little rat face that it's okay. And I know it was God because I felt it in the cold black rock I call a heart, and thought it in the desiccated pile of nothing I call my brain. Sure, okay, mate.
I'm currently on bail in the middle of a judicial process inside of the country we are sitting in right now. I've been advised by all legal counsel to not do podcasts. Here I am doing a podcast. Why?
Because you're a hooer. I mean, frankly, there really isn't another word for it. You make money, you get brand recognition, and even if it's terrible for your legal case, it's overall good for your notoriety. And that is all that you care about. Because again, it is how you make your money. Off of people too thick-headed to understand that it is 100% theatrics and nothing else.
Because I know people will listen to it and I can give a good message out there, and I believe that I can drive people in a holy direction, regardless of which religion. Whether they choose Christianity or Islam, I believe there will be people who watch this and decide to believe in God. That's worth it to me.
Even if guiding people to God were correct and good and all that jazz, it still doesn't justify all the shit you do, have done, and likely will continue to do into the future. You are a charlatan. You are a con man. And there's no amount of, hey kids, don't do drugs kind of platitudes that will ever fix that if the behavior persists.
And then the money I'm achieving 10 years from now, whatever, I know it came from me trying to do the right thing. I didn't scam people on crypto. I didn't sell shit to kids. I didn't do none of that stuff.
Well, okay, if you say so. I guess all the demonstrable evidence and constant admissions and the fact that you just did all of that goes away because you said you didn't. And that's good enough for the absolute morons who continue to defend you and God. Same thing, apparently. Bye!